We are live, but the music ain't. I don't think it is anyway. Stand by for feed. It's Monday morning. Happy Monday morning, Laurice, Anna Mae. Mike married to a beautiful woman. 2 million people in the house. Stand by for the notifications to go out. Also, give me a moment to take a few sips of coffee. Shane is here. Tim Desiak, Mr. Smiley Face himself. Oi, what a day, what a day, what a day. Oh, there I am. Okay. Let me adjust my camera here. Just ran in from the outside over there, enjoying our life at Mickey D's. If that's possible, to enjoy your life at Mickey D's. But I'll have to admit the breakfast was perfect this morning. They had the hash browns. They were cooked golden brown, just the way I like them, in clean oil, not in rancid grease. That was all good. How's everybody this fine Sunday evening, Monday morning in the Philippines? Thanks so much again for being here and being so supportive. I have things on my mind this morning. I always do. I have things on my mind. Oh, the cold, it's coming and going. It wanes. It kind of like gets better, then you get the sore throat thing happening. The glands start to swell again. Oh, you could probably hear it a little bit in my voice. Anna Mae's here. Larissa is here. Shane is here. Mike Married was here a moment ago. Mengay checking in. Girly Santa with a hi, yi. Latoya Williams, friend too. This channel and Jack Hobson had stopped by to say hey. All right, well let's get underway. What I have in mind to talk about today is money, but it's not in the way that you think. Nah, we're not going over useless budgets and things like that. That doesn't help anybody, especially if you're living here in the Philippines. You know what your budget is. You don't need me to tell you how to budget your money. Jalen is here. Good morning. How are you? Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. That's really what today is all about. We're talking about money in a different way, a slightly different way. Why it should be circulated as opposed to hoarded or held on to. Uh, but before I do that, I always have something else I want to talk about, and that is that we got an event happening here in the Netherlands. The Netherlands, typically innovative, always ahead of the curve, always slightly ahead of the curve, passed an interesting law, or they're about to pass it. It's been proposed and accepted, and however their legislative body works, it's on its way to becoming law. Oh,
Hello, sir.
Larry Lee,
How are you doing
Larry
today?
Lee, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. I just finished eating and went out and looked at a rainstorm outside my apartment.
Whoa,
Oh, yeah, it was supposed to rain sometime after 2, and it turned sunny before 2 o'clock and stayed sunny till just before I left the work, which is, as you know, I get off at 7.
yeah.
And it just started raining maybe 10 minutes ago, and it
Well,
came
you made
down
it in the
hard.
door. You made it in the door.
Oh, yeah. I
I
was
was,
high and dry. I was eating when the storm started going, and so I was happy I made it home because I wasn't sure if I would. I went to work prepared to get wet, In other words, I had my jacket and my hat and all that good, happy stuff to keep myself dry. And it turned out I didn't need it, but that's all right. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Hey, Crystals is here. Welcome, Crystals from Pangasinan. Hey, so I was about ready to talk, Larry, about what's going on in the Netherlands. Netherlands is always slightly ahead of the curve, when it comes to innovative thinking. And there's a Dutch law now that could force homeowners to sell to low and middle income families. I think I touched on it a little bit the other day, and I just wanted to elaborate a little bit to tell people how it, what I think about it. And I want to start off by saying that housing is probably one of the things that I think is a human right, but not. I didn't say free housing, mind you, but I said access to housing. That's more of what I'm talking about. By the way, before we get underway with the whole conversation, I just want to put the disclaimer out there that this live stream is for entertainment purposes only, and do not put anything that Dan or anybody else on this channel might suggest into play, because you might be sorry for it later. So take it for its entertainment value, its opinions, and do your own research before putting anything that we suggest here on this channel into play. I've been getting hate mail, and so that should take care of the hate mail. So now that should take care
of saying, well, you got to stand by your conviction.
Exactly, and I've been convicted, so there. So let's talk about it. So the Netherlands, they're passing this law, right? And the idea behind it is to increase opportunity for low and moderate income earners to buy homes. Wait, someone's in the green room. Let's bring up. It's Retro Scorpion.
What's up?
You got in early today.
Hey, welcome.
I'm pumped. My veins are pumped full of caffeine.
Oh, good for you. Caffeine, that's what life is all about right here.
Yeah,
isn't it ridiculous? Hey, isn't it ridiculous? I'm sitting here holding a cup of coffee over the top of my computer, waiting for the accident to happen.
Oh, Esteban, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm inviting it to happen. Of course, it's gonna happen. The cup is gonna get tangled in the wire while I'm setting it down. Next thing you know, everything goes dark.
You think you're at risk, buddy? I got a surge protector down there. I got a computer there. Got a portable disc drive there. A VHS player there. A TV there.
Yeah. Hey, Ben Barry is here, and so's Knitban. Welcome, Knitban. I thought you were climbing a mountain somewhere. I thought you were climbing Mount Everest or something right now.
I'm climbing a mountain. I'm climbing Caffeine Mountain.
Listen, I'm glad Knitban's here because this has a little bit to do with Knitban. Loosely, there's a loose association, right? I just would like to say this, right? First of all, about this whole housing thing. Housing should be a human right. It should not have been monetized the way that it has been, especially in the United States. Let's see.
All in favor.
Oh, Mac Daddy's here.
My brother.
It's so weird.
How you guys doing?
It's so weird to me. It's weird to me that people view whenever they speak of their homes, especially in the States, because that's my experience. They're always referring to the great investment that they've made. Yeah, it's also nice. It's also nice that you don't get rained on. Yeah, and you can get inside away from the inclement weather. Yes, Retro.
I'm about to pull a perfect 180.
What happened? Oh, that was a perfect 180. That was perfect.
I'm in my rolly chair, man.
Yeah.
Special effects, don't need them.
Well,
So
did I tell you what I paid for my home, Dan?
yeah, it was
Here we
zero.
go.
That's right, Zippo,
And
baby.
actually, I'm going to tell you a real quick story about uh, something that happened to me
Do
when
I
I
need
was
to
a
get
young man.
popcorn
So
for this story?
I had to, I had to actually retro. By the way, it is difficult to believe that you can get a house for $1, but you can. And here's how it happened for me. Now, so I go walking it. So someone tells me this, right? I'm watching somebody's seminar on TV. You can be rich like me, one of those things. And I up going down. I decide that yeah, dang, he says I can do it. I'm pumped up. I'm pumped up. And so downtown in Sacramento, they have the HUD office. And I go walking into the HUD office, and I go up to the counter, the public counter, and I was the only one in the place. You can imagine, it's not a very very popular place that people go to visit. So I go into the head office and I said, "There's a man on TV who said that I could buy a house today for $1." And the guy's looking at me and he scratches his head. The guy at the counter scratches his head and he goes, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go back and check." Just so happens that this is your lucky day because we have a celebrity in town, and that's who I'm going to go get to come up and talk to you. So he goes in the back, he disappears. About 5 or 10 minutes later, he reappears with the assistant director of the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development standing right there, who just happened to be paying a visit to Sacramento office at that time. And I don't recall the gentleman's name. But he looks at me and he smiles, he smirks. "Son," he goes, he looks at me, "Young man," he said, "who said that you can come in here and buy a house for $1?" And I said, "Some guy on TV." He said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Okay." He goes and grabs from under the counter a book and he starts opening it up. And he says, "See all these homes up here, right here?" He says, "These homes are the ones that have had failed bids. So all you have to do in order to get a successful bid is formalize a bid and put them in on any one of these houses, you know. But you have to agree to abide by the conditions that HUD has set for each one of these homes. So each one of them has a different condition based on how we acquired the home, and then as long as you meet those conditions, then you're fine. And also it requires a deposit. It also requires a deposit in order to secure your bid.
Well,
So I
you
said,
can.
was it Ron Brown? Who was it at the time? I believe it was Ron Brown that I was talking to. So now I'm sitting there. He shows me the list, and I said, "Tell you what, off of this list here, I want to bid on this house." And he goes, "But don't you want to go out and see it?" And I said, "No." He goes, I would like to bid on it sight unseen." And so he says, "Okay, what's your bid?" I said, "I will bid $1." And he says, "Well, you can bid $1, but of course you're risking being outbid by somebody who comes in here and bids $2 for it. So if you want, you can bid the dollar for the house, but you're going to take a risk." And besides that, this one does have conditions. The conditions are that you have to go, that our minimum bid that we're accepting on this house is 17,500. It has down payment requirements. It has all this stuff. I said, "Okay, but," I go, "can I secure the bid or by submitting a $1 deposit?" And he says, "Yes." So then here's what I want to do. I took $1 out of my pocket and I gave it to him and I said, "I want to bid the minimum bid on this house today, and I'm going to secure it by giving you the $1 deposit. Will that work?" And he goes, "Yeah, let me get you some paperwork." So he gets some paperwork, this long form, and he fills it out and he says, "Sign down here at the bottom, leave your contact phone number so we know how to reach you easily. And by the end of today, we're going to let you know whether your bid is accepted. So I leave thinking that, okay, so well, you can't buy a home for $1, but you could buy it for $1 down, $1 down payment. That's good enough for me, right? So so positive thinking I was about that house that I was going to end up with it. I went down to the mortgage company and I said, I just bought this house for 17.5. I put $1 down, and they're just shaking their head saying, "Give us those numbers again." I go, because we're showing on our list here that the house is worth 72,000. Blah 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 blah. I go, but you're saying that you purchased it for 17.5. I said, yeah, from the federal government. I said, do you guys have any experience doing federal housing loans? And they go, not that much. I go, well, they told me that if my bid's successful on this house, that they will walk you through it. They said that they will call you, work with the underwriters in order to make sure that all the conditions are met. I don't have to do anything except let you know these basic details, that you'll be working with HUD. They're going to assign a case manager, and they will walk you through the details. So long story short, the bid was successful. I ended up with a $90 mortgage payment for 30 years, and the rest is history. So when people say, can you buy a house for $1? I'd have to say that anything is possible. Anything absolutely is possible.
Well, here in Cambria County, you can get a property for $1 and not a 17,500. However, you got to pay for the hearing for the judge to grant you all that.
By the way, I have never paid this close attention in my entire life.
So what you got to do is you got to go in, you got to buy the list, which is $5. It's as thick as a phone book. And it's all addresses that are up for tax sale that are available.
Like this thick?
Yep, like that thick.
Well, this is
and every line is another house. And once
you are hella funny, Retro. You're killing me today. That was so funny.
That was a book from my mother.
When you want to buy the house, you got to go through the hearing. And generally, they'll grant you the home. However, that home could come with a peck of problems. You may have to upgrade the sewer system. You may have to do a lot of different things.
It's like buying a car that's used. It's like buying a car that's used, basically.
Well, in New York, you can buy.
You got to bring it to standards.
Lou's here. Jay Lynn is here. Mengay is here. Welcome.
If you buy the house for back taxes,
can I just do the bit?
The people that own the house can come in within certain length of time after you buy it and pay that back taxes and get their house back. And whatever improvements you make on the house, you don't get reimbursed for.
Can I do something for Dan real quick?
Yes.
Well, they can't come back and take it from you. That's why you got the court hearing. The judge puts you in front of them and grants you title to the home. But with that title, you agree to make, bring it up to code standard, as they call it.
Go, Retro, go.
And you agree to live in it, et cetera, et cetera.
What's that,
Welcome
Retro?
Everybody to this stream. My name is Retro Scorpion. We got Larry, Mac Daddy, and we got your host, Dan and Mitty's journey, but we call him Dan for short because he's our guy. Welcome to the stream. I hope you all enjoy the stream. We all hope you enjoy the stream. And most importantly, Dan hopes you enjoy the stream too.
Hello, Jerry.
Enjoy.
Jerry's here.
So I'm really hyper on camping yet.
What did it?
Has anybody noticed that Leonard's light has went out?
Oh, it did.
Leonard Lund's light has went out.
Oh, so that means he must be back at home.
That does not mean that.
What does it mean?
means either his
His lights
phone went
out.
dead or somebody shut off the computer. It's not showing that he's online anymore. But I still
I didn't
can't get
notice
him.
it.
I haven't been able to call him like through Messenger.
Yeah, I'm worried about him.
I said no.
All right, on with the program. So now we got like as usual, we got off on talking about fun stuff. But now, all right. So the Netherlands. So why are they doing this? Because this is their answer to demonetizing, not demonetizing it, but to keep the price of housing lower, so that more people could afford it. But it's going to backfire in my mind's eye, and I'll tell you why. The reason why it will is because people will not put their house on the market.
You're
What they'll
denying people equity. That's
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
they're denying their equity, but it doesn't really matter because people will find a way to extract the money out of their home. And one way they'll do it, one way they could do it is by renting out the rooms in their house, in their home. And so they'll figure out a way to get the return, the ROI, return on investment, without having to sell the home. And that's basically what usually happens in schemes like this.
Well,
Now,
they'll turn it into rental properties.
that's what I'm saying. And so now in the United States,
And then it'll be NOI,
right.
net operating income.
In the United States, for example, everything. So what they were trying to do is they were trying to protect the real estate industry and the mortgage industry at the same time. They didn't want to encroach on their ability to make their commissions and their profit, or to generate loans. Are you following what's going on here? They were trying. They were thinking that they were going to be doing a great thing here by putting a ceiling on what a homeowner can sell their house for when because they had to consider first going to the highest. They weren't allowed to go to the highest bidder. They had to go to the people that met these low and middle income requirements, thus capping the appreciation of their house.
Yeah,
now, so I've always
what
believed
happens? What happens if you have more than that into your home? So you put a new roof on it and you just redid the place. You're done.
Yeah, you're done. Well, that's a good point. That also would discourage you from making improvements on your home.
Capital improvements on your home.
Capital improvements, which are going to affect. It's going to have this negative domino effect. That's going to
turn the whole neighborhood into a slum.
Exactly. So I'm all for.
I got a question.
Yeah. You're up.
It's not about your thing, but I just witnessed some paranormal activity on my glass.
Yeah.
I know that when you open a can, it steams, but usually when you pour it, it doesn't steam anymore. I held this up to the fan, and there was like smoke, like steam coming out.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Dan,
was that the
ZilPi came in?
Yeah, I saw. Welcome.
So I wanted
Welcome.
to let you know
I appreciate you being
somebody
here.
I've not seen before.
Jerry's here. Yeah, she big supporter of the channel.
Jerry from Texas?
Jerry's from
Jerry
Texas.
South Texas is here. Yeah, we appreciate Jerry.
Jerry's here.
Anytime you want to show the chickens, you're welcome to show the chickens.
And ZLP, my first name also begins with Z.
Retro, we don't want to see your chicken.
So Ben is saying something here that we have healthy homes law here. Just put costs on landlords.
I guess you don't get to see my party trick after all, do you?
So a lot of landlords now just get their home. They leave their homes empty and take the capital gain, and we have no capital gains tax, thus less homes to rent.
Oh.
Yeah. So my answer to low cost housing is build more low cost housing.
Well, that's not. I don't know the answer either, but like out here where I live, you can buy low cost housing. I could have bought an apartment building with a retail storefront and 7 apartments for $165,000 last year, and 4 or 5 of the apartments needed to be like spruced up, but that was the major thing.
Well,
They
I
weren't.
don't agree with. Here's the thing. I think we're kind of agreeing that their approach is not a good approach to solving this problem, right?
It won't work,
But I don't.
and I'm
But
sure
I
they're not
also
doing the whole country.
at the same time, I also don't agree with the monetization of homes. Particularly when they appreciate in value by 100%, like my house did in Sacramento. So anyway,
And Mac, there, I don't have a chicken, but I got something better. Somewhere around
you don't
here,
have a
we
chicken.
all.
You don't own
Jerry's
that
giving
rubber
us an
chicken
update,
retro?
man.
No, I
Yeah?
don't have a rubber chicken. I don't have a rubber
Just-
chicken. I have one prop, and that's my retro mystery phone.
Love
Did
it.
you
We
see
call it
Jerry's
the
update?
retro cat phone.
Says Lobo
Jerry's update,
bought some
Danny.
scratcher tickets. He says Makali Maz just bought a scooter last week.
Ooh.
He was doing bicycle videos where he'd ride the bicycle around certain neighborhoods and take a video of his riding around. Makati, I don't know if you watch Makati Maz or not.
Yeah, I did. I watched his. You know what? They're fascinating. He's doing a great job. Makati Maz is doing a great job. Would it work? Would it work if you guys just saw me walking around downtown Cebu all day? I've been thinking a lot about it, especially
Christian
after watching.
Cebu did it for years.
Yeah, especially after watching the great job that Makati Maz is doing.
Like I said, he's not live streaming. He's just walking. He's riding his bike or walking.
Yeah, he's not live streaming.
He
so
does
doesn't
one
have
or
to
the
deal
other.
with all that stuff. But you
and
could
then he just shows
you
you
could
the area,
video
talks
that.
about it. And,
You could video that and record it on StreamYard, and then go ahead and present it as a premiere. And so you could have a chat going while you're playing the video.
Philly in the Philippines used to do scooter rides or drive his motorcycle too. He used to ride around like Clark and stuff.
What
I
is that,
actually,
Retro?
Well, let me show you all three of them. I played 3 retro PC games that are for kids today in one video.
Ah, fantastic.
And-
Fantastic.
And I got 50 views. I got Blue's Clues Birthday, which I did own as a kid. Reader Rabbit First Grade, but I played the paint mod, like simulator. And then I got Jumpstart First Grade, which I played the Lunch Lady simulator like thing, where I had to serve a certain amount of certain types of food on a plate. But it's usually a fraction of a certain type of food on each part of the plate for each customer. And you're timed. So I like to do the thing where I call it the Lunch Lady Challenge. Oh, Mac Day looks like he's about to fall asleep.
I remember
Sometimes.
I remember one of the games. I remember the rabbit thing. Just barely can remember it. Barely can remember it.
I mean,
My
this is the
phone's
only
going
Reader
dead.
Rabbit. This is
Lou's
the only
here.
Reader Rabbit. Go ahead.
All right. So now, thank you always for sharing retro. We appreciate it. But then
I
I
gotta
got
get
curious. Okay, so United States, we're making hella money on home ownership appreciation, and the real estate agents and investors are making hella money buying, selling, and trading homes. And I mean, for doing practically nothing, I mean, it seems ridiculous, but that isn't necessarily true. In fairness to the real estate agents, when you sell a home, you have to have some way of marketing it successfully. There has to be a way to get people to your house, and so that's where MLS listings came from.
And you
so
have
you're
the
gonna pay-
capital investment risk.
And yes, but the house is not an investment. The house is for living in and raising your family and providing security for them while they're growing up. And then once you're done with all that, and you and you find the need to downsize, you no longer need it. You jettison the house or you pass it down to your children. I mean, that's
Still, the best
basically
way to the best way to make money, capital in this country is real estate.
that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth in the United States. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, that's the way we do. That's the way we roll.
I bought my
Right, so
land
now-
just
That
for that
and
reason.
reselling.
Right, but check this out.
That-
Check this out. America, the home of the brave, the land of the free, the home of the great, and all this other stuff. And then I go and I start running statistics. I start looking at the numbers, and America is nowhere to be found. In the top 20, 30, or 40 lists of the highest percentage of home ownership rates by country. And so this is remarkable, in a country that is so wealthy that the majority of a third of their population are not homeowners. And so,
Starving.
but the countries where they are homeowners shocked me. I was surprised by them. So we're talking about home ownership rates by country, and number one is, it's debatable whether it's between Romania and Laos. Romania is 95.3% as of 2021, and Laos is reporting in at 95.9% home ownership rate, followed by Kazakhstan at 95%, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Cuba at 90%, North Macedonia at 90%, Vietnam at 90%,
They're all
and China.
third world countries.
It all depends on how you look at it now, doesn't it, Retro? And China at 89.68%. The United States holding strong, with their true capitalistic approach at 65.9%.
Well, you got to remember a lot of
In the
us-
number 53 slot, by the way, by number of countries.
We only have 50 states, so
Well, like I said, one of the things I find for, especially if you want to go with the younger people, they're putting off buying homes. Now you take people like myself who are
They
single
can't
with no
afford them,
children.
brother. That's why they're putting off buying homes.
Well, they live with their parents too. Some of them.
Well, the last generation got their homeowner down payment from their parents, and this generation, it ain't there to get it.
Well, it is there to get it, but they're just not transferring down the wealth. You see, there's a difference.
Well, they're
I live
right.
in a provider home.
They're living with it.
There's more wealth than there ever has been in this country in its history.
Well, like I said,
the
there's
real
some
problem
of us just
is
don't want
that-
to own a home. I don't
is
want
that-
one.
Post-war
I
baby
live in a
boomers.
provider home.
Well,
Yeah, but
time
you're
out.
missing one, Dan.
Time out. If you could afford one, then you most likely would have one.
I don't
Yeah, but
want
you're
one.
missing one, Dan.
Yeah. What is it?
Average American family cannot raise $400 in a pinch.
I can, but
Well, and I'm not talking put it on your credit card.
no,
I'm
I
talking-
got more than that in cash in the bank. Every month I have more than that left every month. I don't spend all my money.
I understand,
I
but
most
you
of
you
it, but
told
not
me
all of them.
something last night that blew me away. I didn't understand it when we talk about finances, but I didn't touch it because I didn't want to open
Tobias is
a
here.
can of worms. You said that you were going to put your credit card balances, transfer them to a card with no interest payment for 24 months.
No, 21. 21.
21, but they want 3% to, which
To
is probably three. It's probably more than 3. It's probably like 399
No,
to transfer.
no. It's 3%.
Well, that's
I've
still
already filled everything out and already done everything.
well, that's a stupid deal.
No,
Why?
it's not. There's no.
Why?
What do you think?
Because I'll tell you why.
Would be on that money.
well, wait a minute. Let me tell you why. Because you could walk into a bank and get a simple interest loan and not have to pay a transfer rate.
Yeah, but I'm going to be paying interest that entire 21 months. That's going to cost
Yeah,
me
but-
more than 3% would be.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
you're
3% just to transfer. There's no other charge after that. There's no interest.
yeah, but you said you'd have it paid off in 6 months that way.
No, no. I said I'm going to pay it off in the 21 months. The other, what's left over, I'll have paid off in a year.
Then you're still better off probably
But,
going
but
to
if
the
I went
regular
with the
bank.
bank loan, it would take me at least 2 years minimum. Yeah, because
I
of the
mean,
interest. The interest.
depends on what your interest rate is, what you're in at.
Well, the interest. Your payment's going to be higher per month than Like I said, my payment per month to have it paid off in 20 months is $300 a month.
Then it's
All
not
right.
that much money you owe. Why don't you just dip into your
No, no,
savings,
no,
take
no,
the
no.
bite?
I don't have that much in my savings.
Thanks for
Oh.
coming, Retro.
But what I'm saying is that's to pay the
Yeah,
amount that I
no,
borrowed.
no
Yeah,
offense,
I guess
guys.
I
We're
guess it's
talking
not such a bad
finances.
deal if you look at it that way, Larry. I was just like, and one of the things I didn't consider was interest rates went up a lot recently.
Yeah, and like I said, though, also the simple fact is, I'm gonna I got another bill that I'm gonna pay off. There's two bills. The one that's $300 a month, but when I had the two bills to pay them off in 2 years, it was going to cost me $1,000 a month or more. Okay, to pay it off in 2 years, I can pay off both bills for. I'll have the one bill paid off. Like I said, hey, there's Jerry. Hi, Jerry. We got these chickens. But like I said, the one bill by paying $300 a month, that takes 20 months. That'll let me nail either $700 or $800 on the other bill, which still leaves me money left over every
Well,
month.
that's good.
But that will take me a little over a year to get the other bill paid off. Then I'm out of debt. Outside of my car,
Yeah.
I'm out of debt.
That's
And
a
this
good
is
way to
lot
go.
easier, and I don't have to hit the other bill that hard. I'm just doing it to get rid of it.
All right. Tim says he didn't. He's like you. He didn't want to buy a home. All right.
No, I don't
So now
want
let's go on. Let's go on and let's. I'm happy for you guys. You didn't want to buy a home. Okay. All right. So now let's stipulate to the fact there's some people that for whatever reasons don't want to buy a house.
Yeah.
So now let's see. Where was I going with this? All right. So they're trying to basically. Well, what they're doing is they want the homeowner to be the one that sacrifices their potential appreciation rate versus everybody else. And I think that somebody was just talking about is, hey, they still want to be able to generate loans. They still want to be able to make commissions on the transfer of property. And so basically, they just want to kill it from the homeowner's point of view, but they don't want to share the responsibility across
I don't know who they
levels.
are.
I'm talking about legislators in Netherlands. In other words, they came up
Yeah,
with this keen
I don't
idea
think, Dan, I don't think you got the whole
penalize
gist
the
of what they're.
homeowner,
All right.
and
Now
restrict
you don't have the
their
whole gist
appreciated
there.
value. Okay, all
I
right.
can't see them doing that to the whole country.
Well,
They
of
got to be
course they
talking
are.
about parts.
This is practice for what's coming to the United States in the next couple of years.
Well,
I don't believe it.
Dan, I had an opportunity to buy a house back in my 30s. I was offered a very good deal. I thought about it, but then it's like, I'm stuck here if I do it. I mean, that place needed, like your place, it was going to need fixed up. And it was a 3-apartment complex I was offered at a very good deal. I could have lived there rent free and took the money I got from the other places to make my payments. That's how good of a deal it was. I wouldn't have been out. Now I would have had to save money back. What I would have paid for my rent put back to fix things up when they went bad and stuff, which you have to fix. No, but if
Thank
you own
God
a
I'm
home,
not in the
something goes bad, you
Netherlands,
got to
man.
fix it. And I thought about that. It's like, I don't want that headache. I pay somebody else. Something goes wrong, they got to pay for it.
By the way, my point here is not that I don't mind being a slave. I actually or I mind being a slave. I actually don't mind being a slave so long as all the basic necessities of life are met. For example, that I get my healthcare needs met, that I get my housing needs met. You know, that there's food on the table to eat, and then after that, um, I probably want a little bit of incentive to be able to move up and make
They
and
need
earn a
to.
little bit more money. But other than that,
They
I'm perfect.
really need to do something about healthcare in the United States.
Yes, they
Well,
do. I agree with you.
they won't.
It's
They won't
horrible.
because there's too much money involved. There are too many people getting rich.
Oh yeah, the
You know,
insurance
Well,
in,
companies are
that's
in
making a
fact,
beside the
killing.
point.
in fact, speaking of healthcare, they shouldn't even be training doctors the way that they're training them. Medicine should be more of a vocation than it is a profession. So exactly what I'm talking about is if you have a specialist, if you have a guy that is trained to be a doctor and you want him to be doing open heart surgeries, all you do is find the best person that you can find that has the aptitude uh, that has the aptitude that would be successful doing open heart surgeries, and you train them how to do that. In other words,
I
but
can't get my eyes done,
here in the United States, they train
and
them
I
to be
have insurance.
they train them to be researchers, and then they turn around and they go, now that you're a trained researcher, let's teach you how to open somebody up and do a heart transplant. And
My son,
that's completely ridiculous way of training somebody how to help someone out.
you're too small of a percentage. My son
So
needs dental work. Do you know when they're scheduling for his dental work? June of next year.
well, they're going to they're going to start rationing healthcare out.
They already
They
are.
already are. I need my eyes done. You know when I can get my eyes done? If I had everything approved tomorrow, they won't do me till January of next year. That's how long the waiting line is.
Uh, the one thing
I
I
will be
got going for
legally
me,
blind.
the one
I mean,
thing I got
totally
going
Oh,
blind.
for me is the
take
VA
care,
system.
Crystal. I appreciate you being here. All right, so now let's see. We got to get to the Philippines pretty soon, or else people are going to be
Take
disappearing
care,
really fast.
Crystal.
All right,
Be
so
safe.
now, okay, I accept Ed's criticism that I don't have all the facts on this, but I do have the facts of what's going on in the United States, and that is because I live there and owned several homes there and sold several homes there. So now the United States, for a country as rich as the United States is, then their ownership rate, you would think, would be one of the highest in the world. You would think, but instead it's not. And
They're
interestingly
not
enough,
as rich as you think,
in
and they're
this
not
other
as rich as you say.
apparently, I think that's or
Well, you got to take. Let's take 1955.
or where the wealth lies. No, where the wealth lies. I want to finish my point.
Okay.
It's not as stratified as it used to be. There's been a consolidation of wealth in this country.
Well,
So,
here's a point though. In 1955, you had one income. Dad went to work, mom stayed home. You had one family car. Dad took the car to work with him. You had 27% of your income going to pay for your home. Single income. Today, it's over 50% of your income for two. In most cases, going to pay for your home.
Now, my family was similar to what you just said, Ed, except for the difference was because my dad was a truck driver, the car stayed with my mom.
Okay,
That's
but
about the only difference. There was one income. My dad worked. My mom stayed home, took care of the kids, which is work. Believe me, that's work, especially when you have 7 kids. And then she had the cars. All the bills were in her name. They were not in my dad's name. Dad and mom had it put in her name because if anything, she was the one taking care of the bills, so there'd be no problem. Like, well, you got to your husband's got to come in here on the no, because it was in her name. She took care of everything. The school principals asked to see my father one time when I got in trouble. My mom was doing it before that, and they said it wasn't good enough. My dad had to come in.
That's
And
sexist.
well, I'm going to be honest with you. I was a troublemaker as a kid. I got in
Doesn't
a lot
matter.
of fights. But the guy I got in fights with, he liked fighting, and I liked fighting. To us, it was play, but we were always in trouble for doing it. And so they sent me home and said I could
Thanks,
not come
Jerry,
back until my
for
dad
giving
put
us a
me.
few moments with the chickens. Thank you.
Yeah, Jerry, appreciate it, man. But they said my till my dad brought me in, I couldn't come back to school. I got let go on a Thursday or Friday. I can't remember which.
You
But
couldn't get away with that today.
my dad came home that weekend. We were supposed to leave on a trip to Texas from Indiana. That's a good bit of money back then. Probably still is today because you're paid by the amount. And so he had to turn the trip down because he had to take me to school on Monday. And after he visited with the principal, they never asked to see my father again. No school ever asked to see my dad. I mean, he went off. He said, "Don't ever tell me my wife's not good enough." And he says, "If he
Okay.
gets in trouble, you whip him. Let us know, and I'll whip him. For the same thing."
Yeah, but
Nip
none of
Bennett
that's
made
the
a
same
comment.
story today.
Nip Bennett made a comment saying that he agrees that they should change the way that they conduct examinations for doctors. And my point is they need to change the way that they train them also.
Compensate them.
Well, I'm gonna stop short of agreeing with you on compensation. I'll tell you why. Because if you reduce the amount of time it takes for somebody to become, let's say, an open heart surgeon, for example. I realize I'm taking the extreme example.
You're not making
Then,
any sense either.
then you're taking the money out of it.
You're not
See,
making any sense.
okay, all right. In other words, if you take the person that has the best aptitude for performing open heart surgery, you take him out of high school and you start training him how to do open heart surgeries, then you're going to have many, many, many more of those people.
You're not
And
making
so
any sense.
the supply will exceed demand.
I used to have a deli.
You're taking.
Right.
Listen, I don't have time to talk about delis. I want to get my point out. I want to spend.
All right.
I don't want to
I had a
spend the
point that
entire.
relates to my deli.
Listen, I want you to park it in the garage for right now, because I want to get my point out before we run out of time. We could spend hours and hours talking about everybody's own personal experience, but what I'm talking about are statistical facts that exist. That's where I started the conversation. I kind of would like to stick with that. So,
You didn't even hear my point, so it don't matter.
no, I'm not interested in hearing your point at the moment. I'd like to get my point out, because it's my friggin' show. In fact, why don't you disappear until I get my point out? That would be nice.
I won't be back.
All right, good. Get out. Man, I swear to God. All right. I knew eventually that it would come to this with him, honestly. The extreme point of view and the lack of critical thinking just drives me absolutely nuts. Don't go away, Larry. Please don't go away. The man of reason. And I'm left of center, and I can't stand him.
I'm right of center.
I'm left of center, and I can't stand the man when he starts talking like that. I'm all for Ed wanting to get his point of view out, but Ed needs to start his own show. You know what I mean? He needs to start his own show, and then he can moderate his own show. But I'll tell you what, it would be a great show too.
Well, you got to remember to give the other person that's talking, wait till they're done.
Right. That's the most important thing. And I've tried to be as patient as I possibly can. But he wants to talk over everybody, so I just can't I just can't have it. He needs to start his own show. If he starts his own show, it would be a pleasure. It would be a pleasure for me to be on his show. It would be an honor.
He says
See,
Ben Barry says he has a list in front of him of Americans' medium household income by ethnicity. Who can guess the top three? Asian's going to be number one. That's what I'm going to say. Asians one because most of them come over. That come over. That's what they strive to do: to make money, save it, buy a home. And the ones that are raised here, their families want them to go to college, get the education, and get good jobs.
you know what? I'm afraid of taking a shot at that. You're a lot braver than I am.
Like I said, I'm only
Larry.
guessing the number one.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
number
and
two.
I'm even afraid to guess. So, Ben, if you'd like to chime in and let us know,
Yeah.
I'm very curious, and it's very much related to the
Well,
topic
Nitban's
that we're
saying
having.
the Indians from India.
Yeah, I would say that East Indian is going to be way at the top of the
Yeah,
list.
they're going to be up there. It's going to be
Daisy Lynn's here.
yeah, Daisy Lynn's here.
She looks so professional, doesn't she?
Yes.
All right. So now,
Huh.
United States is at 66%, and I just got through saying that I don't agree with the monetization of individual homes as being your road to riches. But
No,
then again, I'll have to say, I have to say that I don't disagree. It's because the reason why it happened is because they monetized everything involved with individual houses. And so we're gonna come to a point in time where the homeowners in the United States, or I feel like we are, I don't know if we actually will occur, if we'll actually get this far down the road, where the real estate owners of residential homes become the new rich. And so now if you go online, you're going to see a whole bunch of YouTube videos where they're going to talk about how developers and institutions are coming in, institutions such as pension funds, and they're coming in here and they're scooping up as much real estate, individual homes, single family homes, as quickly as they possibly can. And so what do you think is going on here? And so yeah, you for the time being, you that own, a nice piece of real estate in the suburbs are going to benefit from that appreciation in of value, the return on investment for the house that you may have paid $250,000 or $350,000 for 20 years ago is now worth $800 or $1 million today. You're going to be the beneficiary of it, but you certainly aren't going to deny a request by an institutional investor to come in and buy your property from you if the numbers are right.
Oh yeah. Well, you lived in California.
Right.
When I was
right.
in California back in the 70s, homes were not cheap then. They weren't, but I mean they were a little more affordable. I had some friends that were normal enlisted sailors who bought homes in California. I doubt if they could do that today. But the thing is, you bought your home then, and I had a friend of mine's. She and her husband bought their first home, and within a few years, it increased enough that they sold it and bought a better home. And you could do that, but now the working class would be a lot harder to do that in California, because especially if you're along the coast, which all these people were. They were close to the coast. It's the same thing today. If you're in the right area, you buy a home that's population.
You missed a whole bunch of stuff, Mike. You missed me kicking Ed out of the stream for not letting anybody getting their say in. Ed, he's really hung up on always having to be right, and I can be wrong and have my mind changed. That's the big difference between Ed and I. And I'm not going to speak for Larry, except to say through observation, it's also true for Larry that he can be persuaded. But even if we can't persuade him, and to change his mind about a subject, he'll be civil. So that's where I am with that. It bothers me a lot that he acted that way. It's almost like he's inhumane to a certain degree.
Well, like
So-
I said,
so-
he's
So,
impatient
yeah,
to
so-
get his point out.
Right. You know, the most important thing is allowing people to get their points out. And now I know why. Now I know why Seth goes it alone on her. You know, took me a long time to learn, but now I understand why Seth used to go it alone on her live streams. It's because it's her show. You know, but I enjoy, Larry. I enjoy our bantering back and forth. You know, I think it's productive.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think that I'm thinking the same about you just because. I mean, we've both had to make a lot of room. You know, when Ed's in the stream. For true richness, it needs to include happiness, love, and social and society. And so, yeah, so I guess where this topic comes from is that I view housing as being a human right, almost in line with medicine. And so it doesn't really matter to me, or access to housing is more what I'm speaking to. So it doesn't bother me if I have to pay rent to a landlord. It really doesn't. As long as that rent is reasonable, they're not gouging me, it's fair, or I feel that it's fair. And that's pretty much where I'm at. And I have equal access to housing along with everybody else. I don't need to own a home and refer to it as being an investment in my future. You know, because the monetization of housing through mortgages and real estate fees and transfer fees in the United States is what's causing home ownership to plunge down to 65.9% in the United States. But the United States, as rich of a country as it is not the worst country, you know, in terms of home ownership. Germany, I think, is at the bottom of the list with something, or the top of the list, depending on how you want to look at it, with only 50 point something percent of home ownership. And it might surprise you to learn that the Philippines, since we are talking about the Philippines, is at 60% of households in the Philippines. The homes are occupied by their owners and their families. 60%. And the United States is at a lousy 65.9%. Can you imagine that? All this money floating around here. But again, I don't believe I'm speaking in both sides of my mouth. I believe I'm speaking that my main focus is access to housing. And I got curious to look at, I got curious at home ownership rates by country. And that's how I started this whole discussion. You know, that you'd be surprised at the countries that have the highest home ownership rates: Laos, Romania, and Kazakhstan.
Well, like I said, for me, I thought about buying a home when I was much younger, really. But I have to be realistic. Cutting the grass, raking the leaves, yeah, no problem. But cleaning the place, getting things fixed, that's something I didn't want anything to do with. I hate cleaning. I mean, the apartment's bad enough. And if you're going to buy a home, you don't want to buy a one bedroom home because it's almost impossible to resell it. The easiest house to resell is a 3 bedroom home.
Right.
I'm single.
Right.
You know,
No. Actually, you have a lot in common with Generation Xers, you know, and that is that they're nomadic. They want to be able to go where they want to move to, and so all the house does is just tie them down.
It ties you down.
You know, in the United States, here's another thing that I don't agree with. In the United States, you'd never see this happening in the Philippines, I don't believe, and it certainly doesn't happen in Europe. You have in the Philippines 3 generations living under one roof. In the United States, they demonize it. They
Well,
demonize it by saying, "Oh, what do you mean your 32-year-old kid is living in your basement?"
it's starting to happen a little more because with Generation X, the boomers are taking in their parents, the ones that are healthy enough to take and watch for, and they're keeping their kids home. And I mean, maybe not the boomers, the ones after the boomers. They're starting to get that, but they're doing that out of cost, not out of love, which they do in the Philippines. It's cheaper to have their parent move in with them to watch them. Whereas in the Philippines, they wouldn't think about putting them in a nursing home, even if they can afford it, most of them. Here in the States, you would. Now, like I said, my mom, we had to put in a nursing home because she was living with two of my sisters. But it got to where they couldn't watch her. She had to have help 24/7. And so you'd have to hire somebody, and to have somebody there 24/7 costs way too much money compared to a nursing home.
So let's talk about what Mike is saying here, that money doesn't make you rich. Okay,
doesn't.
so here's the thing, Mike. A question that I have for you. Do you not think that this was devised by the oil barons, this line here, money doesn't make you rich, or money doesn't make you happy? It was a line that was devised by the oil barons to keep you poor, by accepting your poor condition in life. So I've said this before.
I got a point I want to make.
Yes.
No, go ahead on what you're saying, and then I'll make my point.
No, well, I'm pretty much done. I would just keep going on and on about saying that. Okay. These are just lines that people come up with from the rich and famous in order to keep you poor.
Well, there's a YouTuber, and he was talking about, well, money doesn't make you rich, but it can't. And they said that's maybe true, but he goes, money can't buy happiness. He goes, it may not be able to buy happiness, but it can make you happier in that you have the money to pay your bills, have food, so it makes your life better. Now, what you need to be considered rich, that's an individual thing. Most people, hey, I got the money to pay all my bills, I eat well, and I can travel when I want.
That's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's all I want.
But the other point, Larry, you make a good point. The other point is that rich is a relative term.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's relative. It's how you define it. Not necessarily how someone else defines it. And so Mike's point is accepted by me. So the whole thing is, but Ben here, all these points that are being made are excellent points. Money isn't everything, but I'd like to see you live without it. But people do. Oh, yeah. People do here in the Philippines live without it or with very little money.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
they grow your own food.
They're self-reliant. They form communities. Each one of them has a task. Oftentimes, it's not very organized. It's not assigned. It just happens naturally a lot of times. No one says, oh, you be in charge of growing the citrus fruit, you be in charge of growing this, you go out and work and bring the meat into the household. No, it's not like that. It's like the olden days where you used to go next door to the neighbor and say, may I borrow a cup of sugar? Oh, sure, come on in, and I'll give you the cup of sugar. Well, borrow is a lot of times they returned it, but oftentimes not. But it didn't really matter because they were your neighbor. Your
neighbor would come get something from you when they needed it.
Right. You have more of a sense of community, and that's kind of like that community orientation is what the Philippines is all about. And so let's get down to it, Mike. Oh, Mike K. Joe is here.
Hey, so Mike.
And that is it. What I think Ed was sensing how this whole topic developed, right? Because initially it was over something that he said that I took exception to. And that is that, when I started talking about money and I started saying, one of the things that I do is once I get my my pension checks in, I transfer the money usually within a day or two after receiving it. I transfer it into Minnie's bank account in the Philippines. And then once that's done, we convert it into pesos. All right, this is what, and of course, Ed starts going off saying, you shouldn't be doing that. You should keep money in the United States, the greatest country in the world. And I was trying to explain how closely the dollar is tied to all these global currencies, but there's no closer relationship, monetarily speaking, than the relationship between the dollar and the peso. So basically, what I'm saying here, and of course I could be wrong. I'm allowing myself room to be wrong. But the peso is every bit as safe as the dollar because they're married to each
I
other.
believe you're correct.
All you have to do is go and watch the Forex exchange and keep in mind that millions and millions of dollars are coming into the Philippines every single day from overseas workers. It represents, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it represent something like 1/3 of the gross domestic product? And they're coming into the Philippines.
It may be larger.
It's a large percentage, and it's in the form of dollars. And that's where I was going with this conversation. So you're doing no good by hoarding dollars. It does no good by keeping it in a bank in the United States where you're getting even today, we're getting this great rate of return, 5.5%. Whoopee. I said it doesn't do anything. But you know what? When you convert that money over to Philippine pesos at the moment, I don't know what the future looks like. I can't really predict it. I try to. But when you look at what you could do with that same money, and I'm going to give you one stupid example. Bong, is it Bang or Bong? I can't see. Bong. I'll give you one. I'm going to get Bang. I'll give you one stupid example, right? And it's a ridiculous one, but I'm going to give it anyway. When I give away on this show 100 pesos at the end of the show, what am I giving away in American dollars, Larry?
You're giving away about 100 pesos, about 90 cents. No, about $1.80. No, because that's $2 pesos. Yeah.
So you're gonna get $2 and change. Okay, so I'm gonna send you through PayPal $2 and change. What will you do with the money?
It's up to you.
What will you do with the money? I'm asking you. Will you go down to Starbucks and buy a cup of coffee? Will you? What will it buy you? Will it buy you a donut and a cup of coffee?
No.
Will it? No. What will it buy you?
It would buy me a donut, maybe.
Right.
Or maybe a cup of coffee, depends on where you're at.
Right.
The odds are you're not getting a coffee, but you may get the donut. You would get a candy bar. Where I'm at, you wouldn't get a soda if you went into the. Now you would if you went in and sit down at a restaurant. You might get the Coke, but if you went in to buy a 20-ounce liter, no, $2 isn't enough money to buy a soda. So,
yeah, and so I'm thinking a lot. If I might interrupt you, yes, but you're right. That's my point I'm trying to make. Jerry, I want to speak to what you're saying in a moment. So let me finish my thought. But guess how far that same 100 pesos will go in the Philippines? Would you like to take a guess on that?
It would buy a full meal in some places.
Correct.
It would, if you wanted to travel, it would take you as far as like a jeepney.
Oh, you went straight for what you went straight for what I was gonna talk about. That is the difference between somebody getting to work and getting home at night.
Yeah.
That is the difference between somebody getting to their job and getting home, and that's the point that I was going to make.
It wouldn't get me to work and home.
So it irritates me, to some degree, that some people can't make this connection. That the money does very, very little good for me sitting in the bank. But when I start spreading it around, especially here in the Philippines, it goes one hell of a long way, and I'm not looking for anything in return. I don't go out there and I don't put money out there and then expect that I'm going to get something in return for it. What my main objective is, this will allow this person to take their daughter to the hospital and get a checkup. This money is going to allow for them to eat today. This money is going to allow them to get to work today. That's my main objective. And so it doesn't have to be a lot of money that changes one person's life in that particular day. It could be as little as 100 pesos that makes the difference between whether they're going to have rice on the table or not. And that's the point. So how valuable is it from that perspective, changing dollars over to Philippine pesos for which aren't going to sit in a mattress someplace, although some of it does. But it is going to be distributed to the people, and not even based on income, not even based on their financial situation. It's just based on the willingness to want to share. That's all it's based on. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. Now I want to speak to what Jerry has to say. Jerry, I'm thinking about, because of this whole thing, the thing about Ed and Retro not having an opportunity to speak, and Jack coming on and not having the opportunity to speak. I'm thinking about going to that format. And so I'm announcing it here. I'm thinking about, maybe a better way to handle this is just to keep the chat active. But I haven't decided, because see, the whole thing is that the exception would have to be Larry, because Larry makes such important contributions to the stream, and so did Ed, by the way, and so did Ed. So I mean, but we weren't able to get all that needed to be said because, how should I say, he's more egocentric, I would have to say, or eccentric. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm thinking about it still. But the thing is, I wouldn't want to sacrifice, I wouldn't want to sacrifice my relationship that I have with Larry, because we do so well when we do these lives. I wouldn't want to get banned from his channel either. And by the way, that's not, yeah, by the way, that's Ed's choice, when he said he doesn't want to ever come back here. That's his choice. That's not my preference.
No, you just asked him to step down for a minute and come back.
Yeah,
later.
just let me get my point out is all I was asking for. It's my show. Let me get my point out. If he wants to get his point out, he could do it on his own program,
I'll wait his
Okay,
turn.
so the other thing, as I was pointing out, banks are buying up all the houses and gouging it. Yeah, and so once they own the majority of the homes, then all of a sudden you see rent. They have to get a return on investment because they have shareholders that they have to make happy. And so Mike, it brings up another thought. And the other thought is, Mike, then why are we giving them the money to invest? Because we're giving them our money, right, in the form of our 457Ks, our 401Ks, and then they take it and they invest it in these residential homes, taking the opportunity for a family to have a house to live in at a reasonable cost, thus limiting access for poor families to housing. That's the point. See, that's the whole point. We're giving them the money. And so I come full circle on my argument by saying, what good does the money do myself and humanity by letting it sit in the bank in US dollars? The almighty dollar, the strongest currency in the world, which I believe it is, and which I believe it will remain. And I want it to remain strong because I want to be able to convert it over to pesos so I can help my Filipino brothers and sisters. And so what is wrong with that? I would like somebody to share with me. If you have a an opinion about that. I am very idealistic. I'll admit that. I'm extremely idealistic. Uh,
Uh, Tobias, we don't know if Hal Leonard's doing. Uh, so nobody's been able to get a hold of him. So hopefully, if when he's feeling better, hopefully he will be feeling better. He'll come up and let us know. So all we can do right now is keep praying for the man.
exactly, Mike. It's big business, and they're renting out the homes. But ultimately, if we didn't give them the money to invest, they wouldn't be buying the homes. So it's circular, and so people have to realize that. Yeah, see, I want to make money on my investments. If I put it in I have money in my 457k. I give them. I have mutual funds. I have investments. I have bonds. I give them free reign to invest it. But they even charge me to invest it. By the way, I just got notice that maintaining my 457 is now going to cost me upwards of 2250 per quarter. So now they're also getting it in fees. They're collecting in fees, which is a big game.
And if
So
they don't make any money, they still charge you that.
Even if they don't make any money whatsoever, they get to charge me the fees. And so they're guaranteed payment, but nobody guarantees me payment. Why should I continually give them my money when I could see the results of my money that I'm investing here in the Philippines? It's an investment in people. It's an investment in people. It's what makes the world go round. Money is meant to be. I know people will disagree, but money is meant to be circulated. It's not meant to be sat on. It was the vehicle that we use for trade. It's developed into this thing called greenbacks. And renting is very common in Europe. But Ben, also common in Europe is multi-generational housing. That's also common in Europe. So that people aren't stressed. People aren't stressed trying to figure out how they're going to pay their rent. So they've managed to take the bite out of housing, but if the United States were to do that, it's going to, we're already starting to lean towards Marxism, but I got to tell you that I can't say I'm a fan or not a fan of Marxism. The reason is because the people who are in charge, the people who have the power and authority and control the money, they're not going to give it up. I mean, they're not going to give it up. They're not going to give it up. They'd rather just sell you, Marxism or socialism. They just rather sell you that routine. Because if they sell you that and you buy into that, which is pretty easy to get people to do, all you have to do is offer them up free medical care, send them a check every month, make sure they have adequate housing and health care, then you've pretty much bought everybody off. And I doubt that many, many people would complain. But of course, that isn't what capitalism was all about. No. By the way, capitalism, in my opinion, it worked as designed. We're at the point in time, at the point in history where everything, crossed lines. We're at the peak. We're at the peak of capitalism right now. We're at the turning point. And we would reach it sooner or later, and it just happens that we may be at the point in history where we've reached the pinnacle of capitalism. We've taken it as far as we can take it. There's still a lot of consolidation that can occur, but for the most part, you only have so many banks, you only have so many media outlets, you only have so many grocery store outlets, you only have so many industries and ownerships, and so they've almost completed, the entire scheme or schematic. What's your opinion on that, Larry?
Well, I like capitalism. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I'm on the lower end, but that's my fault. I don't blame anybody. Uh, you need to take responsibility for yourself. Now, like I said, I got a cousin who's very well off. He's got a less education than I did, but he really went out and worked for it. He put himself out there, took chances, and that's what it's about. I mean, I was more into trying to enjoy life than getting ahead. That has something to do with the way some of the difficulties my family went through when I was younger. I've discussed that, I think. My father went on total disability when I was about 12. I watched a man go from 258 pounds down to 150 in 3 months. And he said he wished he could enjoy his retirement. He couldn't go out and do anything. He was limited to what he could do. Really, I mean, really limited. And so that impressed me that, hey, enjoy your life now because you don't know if you got a future. And so that's what I did. And
Yeah, and
now that I'm
by the
here,
way, I
I'm
wouldn't
paying
tell
for it.
anybody. I wouldn't tell anybody how to live their life. You got to live it the way you're going to live it.
Well, yeah, like I said, but now I'm
You
paying for
know,
that choice. But that's why I said it was my choice.
I'll allow somebody to dictate to me up to a certain point. You know, I could take a lot of abuse as long as all my needs are being met.
Yeah.
And Nitban is making an excellent point, and that is that in other societies, a house is passed down through generations, which means multiple generations living together. Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Well,
passing the baton. But in some societies, they even have multi-generational financing. And that is something they've resisted doing. The closest they came to it is offering up 40-year mortgages. That's as close as they came to it, was offering up 40-year mortgages. That 40 years being one generation. But they resisted the temptation because the reason why they do is because ultimately they want to be the ones to own your home when the game is over. The
I'm gonna say,
financier is the one that wants to end up profiting.
well, you know what, WTF Mike, uh, he's in a situation where it is a little more generational, in that it's a family farm. His dad and mom are there during certain times of the year and they're gone the rest of the time. But that happened, especially back in the early 1900s. There was a lot of generational people, but they were farmers. The oldest sons and some of the others are, one of the kids' sons would stay and help. You had some, like my dad didn't want to live on a farm. He hated farms. So when he could, he left and went and drive trucks. But there was other kids, like I said, would stay and help mom and dad. And then when mom and dad got old enough, they took over and they maybe lived in the same house, or maybe they built a house right next door to each other, but on the same property. But the farther along we come, the fewer family farms we have, and the more industrialized we became, the fewer generational family units we had too, because people moved from the family farm to the city.
Nitban's cracking me up. Nitban, to your comment, I have to say, how much money does a fella need? To your comment, I mean, let's ask Jerry Seinfeld. Let's ask Jerry Seinfeld, who probably would tell you, what's another band amongst friends? In other words, you never can have enough money. You never can have enough. You'll always want more. And I think he said that on many of occasion, you know? So although when you get to a certain point, you don't have to do very much in order to make more money, you know, just get out there and you just invest in the companies buying up all the homes and you become richer. That's all you have to do. So long as there's an actual real estate market that holds up. But I don't think it will. See, that's the secret. I don't really think it will. I think it will eventually collapse. Demographically, it does look like, you know, the future is bleak for real estate. I've been wealthy and I've also been poor. Money is not in the equation. Okay, I've had $1 million or $2 million pass through my hands, and I'd have to agree with you on that one. borrow your way to happiness, Mike. That sounds like a great idea. I could go for that. How about all the people during the last 2008 real estate downturn where they went to the bank and they took second mortgages out on their houses and then disappeared? Did the bank ever go back seeking those people for the money, even though it was in the contract that they could? Nope. Why? Because they'd rather have the house. They'd rather have the house, hold it in their portfolio, and then sell it when the time was right. And that's what has happened. And so we protected them with taxpayer money. The banks didn't have to worry about it. The brokerage houses didn't have to worry about it. They were protected by taxpayer money. I mean, doesn't that burn you guys up at all? Can I get a rise out of anybody here? That's the way that it worked. They take my money anyway and hold them up so they don't go bankrupt because they made stupid investments.
LV.
I noticed the peso dropped 16.60 to the US dollar. I've not seen it that low. Since pre-pandemic. Dropped to 16.60. The peso dropped.
It's a little over 55.
No, you're looking at to the British pound, aren't you, Jerry? Right now it's sitting at 55.6, something like that. Maybe a little higher.
Yeah, it's around 55.6. I looked it up.
55.6. So check this out. So you also have to pay attention though to the Philippine money supply. That's how you can figure out what's going on with the dollar also, as you look at the money supply. So the way that the United States controls money supply is by raising interest rates. That's how the US controls the money supply. There are too many dollars hanging out there. They want to take them out of play, because the argument is that if you have too many dollars floating around, then it causes inflation, causes goods and services to climb. And so when you look at so now how you determine what's going on in the Philippines with the peso is the rate for which they're purchasing dollars, the forex rate. So if you go in there, or even the retail purchasing of dollars, remember, they will only purchase dollars if they need them. If they don't need them, then the rate is depressed. And so here we are. Here, the actual forex rate the other day was 55.75. So I start going around, taking a look at a few retailers to see what they're buying dollars at, and they're offering only 55 to the dollar. What does that mean? That means they don't need to buy dollars. But when they need to buy dollars, I have seen them offer spot for the cash just to get dollars in circulation. So that's why you pay attention. So when the money supply is tight, right, you can tell. When money is circulating, you can tell. You can tell by how everybody reacts. U.S. dollar safe. China, Russia, and the BRICS banks have been working. Yes, they can continue working, Ben, but it's never going to happen. It can never happen. See, right now, as a matter of fact, there's not enough money in the world to unseat the dollar. You could take all the money that there is circulating on the entire globe. It's my opinion. I have no stats to back this up. Put them all together in one pot, and they will never get near the number of U.S. dollars that are out there. And so therefore they can never unseat the U.S. dollar as being the king currency. And so I'm not saying that you're back, Crystals. Every dog has their day. And I'm not saying that we're not watching a crash of some sort. in slow motion, I believe that there is some kind of economic reset and progress. I don't know what it looks like. I really don't. It's, whenever they start talking about the BRICS and they want us to start looking this direction, then I start looking that direction. In other words, when they get everybody, the entire population, to focus here on this news story, I start looking for the reason why they want us to focus in on that news story. And so I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the scare. I'm not buying it. It's a scare tactic to get us to do something. But I'm not bright enough to know what that something is. I'm not bright enough to know what the something is. Okay, the exchange rate is 55.77. But what's her name in Angela City offering? That's going to tell a story, Tim. If you go down Walking Street, what's her name that has the exchange rate right there near Margarita Station? Find out what she's offering. If she's only offering 55, are you going to do business with her when you know that she typically takes 0.30 in commission or 0.35? If she's giving you 55, are you going to run to her and say, is it going to give you a clue as to what's going on with the money supply? Number one. And number two, are you going to go over and you're going to exchange your money, or are you going to wait? It tells a story about how liquid the market is. And also, I act upon it. How do I act upon it? Honestly, I'll give away a little bit more money when the money supply tightens up. Because when it starts to tighten up, that means that people are suffering. That means that they don't have rice on their table to eat. That's just a fact. That's an undeniable fact in my mind's eye. You know what? One thing that I tend to do is I tend to sound a little bit dogmatic. But one of the things I've noticed about Filipinos is they always will put the qualifying statement in front before they make the statement. They'll always say something that's equivalent to, in my opinion, in my idea, what works for me. They'll always put it in front of the statement. And that is something that I need to learn how to do. So I appreciate Filipinos for being able to do that. Well, you think I don't observe? Of course I observe. 70 pesos, bye-bye to Ormoc. I think that's an increase, ain't it, Mike?
Yeah, that's still less than the 100 pesos you give.
Yeah. That's still cheap. That's $1.50. That's $1.50 to get 2 hours down the road, or 1.5 hours down the road, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I hate traveling that bye-bye to Ormoc thing on the bus. Jack is here. Jack is in the chat.
I would want to take that air-conditioned bus if it's going to be that long of a ride.
Thanks so much, Jerry, for coming and sharing the chickens with us. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, Jerry.
All right, so that's why circulation is important. And then the other point is, I've had a problem with people telling me what to do with my money lately. I've had a problem with people saying I shouldn't be doing this, I should be doing that. And it's driving me absolutely bonkers. How about you let me decide what I want to do with my money, the same way I allow you to decide what to do with yours. Don't come to me through my email and through my chats telling me what I should be friggin' doing with my own money based on my belief system. Yeah. Keep all that nonsense to yourself, because it has no effect on me whatsoever, other than it irritates the hell out of me. Especially when you take the risk of calling people out by their name, and it turns out that the person that you're trying to get me not to do business with turns out to be my best friend. That's particularly annoying. But I don't know why people insist on doing that. Don't you understand the risk involved in doing something like that to me? You know, the risk is that I'll never do business with you again. That's what the risk is. I'll admit I haven't taken that tactic. You know, you're still on my Christmas wish list. I couldn't do it. You know, I couldn't do it knowing how much suffering is going on, you know, in certain parts of the world.
Yeah.
I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Nitban saying I tipped 20% on a $14 restaurant bill yesterday in India, and the waiter was flabbergasted. That's 2.5 tip made his day. And doing that, you know, that's probably why we get along so well, Nitban. That's probably why we get along.
Well,
Because you will have done something remarkable without knowing what it was that you did. In other words, you don't know what that person's life is all about, what they're going through. You know, I've had many events that have occurred where people have told me that without you realizing it, you sent me a lifeline. You sent me a lifeline. I'm not trying to put myself in that position. You know, that is not my motivation. You know, it's not. You know, but it happens. It happens that you'll end up helping somebody like that to that degree. Yes, I do. I kept looking at that mute button. I said, what's going to be worse? Confronting him or muting him? It has the same impact, you know. It's happened before. I mean, it's happened before on Sammy's channel. It's happened.
Money can cause a lot of problems, Sammy.
You know, it happened on Sammy's channel. You know, where, you know, sometimes you just can't get people to shut the F up to get your point across. You know, of course, Ed can never be wrong. Neither can I, for that matter. That's why you're gone out of here. You know, but it doesn't mean permanently. I still love you. You should be coming back. Because remember, I did say one of the beautiful things about the folks that we have in the chat is that we're all able to get along and remain friends. Well, apparently it's not true with you, Ed. Apparently it's not true with you. Because you did say you won't be back, but that isn't my wish. I just like to point that out to everybody. That isn't what I wish for it to happen, to have happen. You know, so I cannot be blamed for this. I cannot. Yeah, we don't know, Tobias. You probably already got the answer that he hasn't made contact with anyone. And I have emails coming in every day that Dan, can you do something? And all we could do is put the word out on this channel and others that, hey, if you hear from Leonard, just have him check in with someone so we know he's okay, you know, and make sure he lets us know if he needs help of some sort. Dan, I don't think you understand how much capitalism has pulled people above the poverty line in the past 100 years. Yeah, I think my point is not that capitalism was a bad thing, Ben. I think my point was more that we've reached the pinnacle of you know, of the organization. You know, in other words, we're at the top of the pyramid, and there's only one way to go once you're at the top of the pyramid, you know. And so it's run its course is more what I was trying to say. And so you could disagree that there's plenty more room, you know, you could disagree, except, oh yeah, my friend who used to own the stationery store at the corner is no longer there because Walmart opened up across the street from him, and they opened up a stationery store and took all his business away. Oh yeah, and the donut shops that I used to own are no longer there because Costco came into my neighborhood and they opened up a bakery and they started giving donuts away until they ran me out of business. I thought pesos were automatically exchanged when you transfer the funds. I never knew that you can bank. Oh yeah. So here's the thing, Tobias, you're right about this. Specifically, when you transfer them from bank to bank, right, they're delivered in pesos because the bank is making money two or three ways. They're making it in the fee exchange rate, and they're making it in the forex exchange rate. That's how they're making money. So they do get exchanged into pesos once they hit your bank account, but they have an option for you, but it still costs you money. You can open up a dollar account. So in case you didn't know it, if you open a bank account here, you can only put a maximum of $8,000 peso equivalent into that bank account. They don't want you nearing anywhere where they have reporting responsibility to the U.S. federal government. They won't do the paperwork. So you start letting it get over too far over $8,000, you get a phone call saying you have to withdraw money. See, then if you want, you go down, if you need American dollars in your hand, right? Then you go and you buy dollars from the bank, and the bank will sell them to you, and they'll make profit again. So they're making it when the money transfers there, they convert it to pesos. And then when you go there and you want it converted back to dollars, they make it when they convert it back to dollars. And so Tim is telling us how it works. He has both a dollar and a peso bank account. Okay, to get a dollar bank account, you have to be a resident. You have to show that residency card, or you have to be a citizen. And so hence, now you guys know why. One of the main reasons why Ma'am Minnie is going and getting her dual citizenship, and the reason why we're in Manila is because we need her to have that flexibility so that we can start moving dollars to the Philippines. But for the time being, like I said, I'm perfectly happy exchanging and then converting everything into pesos because I'm getting more bang for my buck. Even after the fees are paid and the forex exchange rate has been applied, it's still a win-win-win-win-win-win situation. I don't know how to explain to you how beneficial it is to convert them. But when you have to go back to the States, you always have to have cash on hand, American dollars. And so Ma'am Minnie and I, we have taken care of that. And how we've taken care of that was when we first came here, we brought a certain amount of American dollars here, and then we hung on to those. We never went down and converted those. The conversion happens electronically from, via the bank transfers. Nitban, if you're still listening in the background, how do you get Google to work here? How do you get a Google Pixel phone to work here? Well, until you run out of other people's money and your own. The whole thing is we already are in a socialist society, but people don't call it that. So you only have like 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 big corporations that are running, industrial farming, grocery stores, media. While we were sleeping, they took over everything, banks, brokerage houses. And so that is pretty much the definition of socialism. No hardware store. The local hardware store, Cook's Hardware in my neighborhood, had to close down because they're receiving too much competition from Home Depot. Killed their business, right? They couldn't figure out how to fix it. Customer service wasn't good enough to fix it because you got the best customer service there. I was always willing to pay a little bit extra to get the customer service. But unfortunately, all people care about these days, how much money can I save? It's about this. And so I'd rather order it online from Amazon these days. If I order it online at Amazon, I don't have to deal with anybody. I just go in there and I order it, and it's there in my house in a day or two. So is capitalism really alive and well? I would like for you to consider that. And I'm saying, no, we've reached the pinnacle, of capitalism. Or another way of saying it, we're at the apex of change. And so now let's say that, but we're trillions of dollars in debt, this country. And so I don't know, what's a few $1 trillion amongst friends, I always say. It really doesn't mean much to me. because after counting off the first couple of 100,000 or so, I just stopped counting. It doesn't mean they're only zeros, and government has realized that that's the way that people look at it now. That's only adding another zero to the number. What's the big deal? I'm the same way. I feel exactly the same way.
By the way, Nitban said he didn't get your question. He was charging his phone. He's using the Pixel right now.
So the question was, when you were in the Philippines and you were using your Google Pixel phone, did you have to use the internet in order to make it work? Because here, that 5G is unsupported, and so I'm not getting the whole story on how the Pixel works. Because I went all over town looking for at least a Pixel 7 phone. I couldn't find one. I mean, you can find them online, I think, at if I were to probably at Facebook Marketplace. But before I go out there and I start spending the money to get one, I would like to know if it's supported in the Philippines. I still don't believe that it is. Only if you use the internet. 5G isn't supported for the Pixel. Each bank has different requirements for opening accounts. I'm a permanent resident, so I have the right to open a local bank account. Yeah, and if you're not, then what happens is you're restricted to a peso account up to that $8,000 value that I talked about earlier. Agree about the peak, but no one seems interested in that conversation. Absolutely true. When the answer is Joe Biden or Donald Trump, there's something wrong with the question. Exactly. I've been saying this, but maybe I haven't been able to articulate it as well as you just did. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong if that's all we have to select from. There's something wrong. The system is broken. But that's all we got. 80-year-old man who seems challenged in a lot of areas. And then, but really, he put the nail in his own coffin. He really doesn't want a second term, and it's so obvious that he's being pushed by the party. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to go with the plan. You got to stick to the plan, and so he has to. He has an obligation to. But the point is that the way you kill it is by doing you start talking about Social Security reform, and that's like pouring ice on top of your head, in the Antarctic. You know what I'm saying? In other words, it's done. It's over. It's dead. You make sure it's dead by announcing to the public that, you want to make sure, even though you realize it's unpopular, that you get Social Security reform done before because it's very, very important, because we don't want the system to run out of money. I'll tell you what, I'd rather they just keep everything the same while we're going through this undulation, the population dip or whatever it is that's going to cause the shortfall, and take 80% of the money. If it only has 84% in the fund, I'm willing to take 84% of the money. I'm going to be, how's Larry put it? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm willing to take the 84%. Just keep everything the way that it is. Because I know that in the future, right, my kids and their children's children will appreciate what I've done. So we just keep it that way. And I need to pay for my shortcomings as an adult and as a young adult by spending money like crazy, like there was no tomorrow.
Nitban answered your question, sir, I think. He says, I haven't tried a 5G Pixel in the Philippines yet, but Pixel 6 Pro has worked in Nepal and is working in India.
But not the Philippines.
Well, he said he hadn't tried a 5 year. The 6 Pro may be 4 Pixel, 4G instead of 5G.
Okay, 4G, and of course it's always going to work if you have access to the internet. So you can make phone calls. Of course, you can make phone calls on Facebook through Messenger. So, but the reason why I want the phone, I think I told you, is because I have Google Fi. I have Google Fi, and they've already cloned my phone number from the Sacramento area. So I want to retain that phone number because I've run into a few banking issues that I'll have to resolve once I get back to the United States. The main one is every time those yo-yos want to send a code so I could access some service and I have to verify who I am, they always want to talk to me personally on the phone, which is impossible on that 916 number because it's designed to convert your voice over to text message. And so if they say, Mr. Dan, we're trying to contact you, we need to talk to you personally before giving you the secret 4-digit code. Well, I can't, I can't. They said, please call us back. I got to go out and get a phone card or something to make contact with these people. It's a pain in the ass. Most of my friends that live here, when I asked them how they handle it, they said, we just have roaming on our service. What? You're paying $100 a month or whatever, $150 a month for roaming in the Philippines? They go, yep, that's how we do it. It's hassle free. Why would you pay $150 a month? I give $150 a month away every month. In other words,
I got a question for you.
Sense.
Have you tried the what is it? The phone jack?
Magic Jack?
Yeah, the jack that you're supposed to be able to use your phone like your.
Yeah, but how do they contact you when you need to do the 4 verification code? When you're doing financial services?
I don't know. Stephen from the Filipino Info Channel, I know he talks about having that. So they can just call it. He says they can just call his U.S. number and it goes through to his phone. I can't remember I don't know if you have to do it when you're in the States to set it up. But you can check with Stephen. I know he's talked about having that, and he liked it. It's been a while since he said anything about it, though.
Yeah, the point here is that all this stuff, the reason for talking about this, of course, is because it is a Filipino subject. I said because you guys have to realize that, we're so married in so many different ways. The American Filipinos, not only cultural influence, financial connections everywhere. It has a bearing on your future. So certain events are going to occur. They're going to occur most likely in your lifetime. And I talk about these things to let you know, to advise, quite possibly to even warn you. But at least you should be able to recognize, at the very least, you should be able to recognize what's going on by having these conversations. You should be able to see it and recognize it once it comes to your front door. And one of the things, of course, I keep talking about and I rant and rave about is, is home credit and credit cards and those types of things. Ben Berry says, yes, Dan, but if countries don't use the petrodollar, enjoy the huge inflation that's long overdue for. Okay, so U.S. economy is based on the use of cheap energy, and so now the cost of oil is becoming so inexpensive, and the reason why it will continue to is because nobody is driving anymore. Why? Because they're working from home. This is why in the United States they're looking at a huge commercial real estate crash that's about to occur. It's because you have empty buildings and high occupancy rates from New York to Los Angeles. And when they called those people back to work, they said, we ain't going to go. They said, no, I'd rather work from home. They said, well, if you work from home, you're going to lose your job. And they said, I go find another one. That's what happens when you're only paying somebody $15 an hour to work your call center. This is what happens. You can't control them. That Generation X, they're nomadic. They're nomads. They're nomadic. And so the petrodollar, will become the electrodollar. The petrodollar will become the new digital currency, and it's not going to be based on oil or energy. It's going to be based on the same thing it's based on now. Basically, it's in God we trust. Yes, people don't like the control the United States has. What has given us all the control is consumerism. What's given us the control is how much money we spend. Oh, Sammy, do you have any news? Do you have any news on Leonard and what's going on with him? Because we've not seen him. We're worried about him. He had a fall. We don't know what happened after that. D. Oliveris was telling me that it took something like 4 hours in order for them to get to him for help. I'm not sure why. We have a system here, 911. All he really would have had to do was call 911, and they would have been there. They would have busted down a locked door in order to get to him. So I don't know what happened, but apparently he was able to convey to D. Oliveris that he had to wait for 4 hours in order to get help. So I realize this is rumor until it becomes fact.
Hopefully somebody hears from Leonard soon.
Yeah, I hope we find out soon what's going on.
Yeah.
Very, very disturbing. Very scary. Very, very scary. So let's see. So every dog has their day. Every dog has their day. But now what usually happens is they're not giving up. Big business doesn't give up. Big business starts going around. They start looking for other avenues of approach. How do we continue to make money? How do we continue to to make 30, 40, 50% return on our investment? I know we'll go to the Philippines and we'll sell them on consumerism because they're the future. And you are the future because you have a huge working class population. It's poor working class, but it's a tasty demographic. It's young, it's hardworking, and it's
well-educated.
Well-educated, right? A well-educated workforce. By the way, I meant to point out that this morning while we were over having our cup of coffee at Mickey D's, I saw the parade of people going into the university close by. And what I noticed is there's a disproportionate number of women versus men headed that direction. Now, it doesn't mean anything. It's anecdotal. It's just observation I'm sharing with you. I just noticed that there are way, way more women than there are men. Capital is a very broad topic that I'm too lazy to discuss for now, sir. Yeah, I understand that, but beware is the thing. You have to give enough time to it, LV, that you have to be aware of the pitfalls of it. You see, it's all fine and good when you are making money. You see, when you're making money and everything's humming along, great. All of a sudden, somebody hits the brakes and the money stops flowing. You start looking around, and then you say, "Why didn't I see this coming?" See. That's right. We all should be more worried about blood circulation than the circulation of money. But circulation of money is important because it allows our poor Filipino brothers and sisters to partake, to become participating members of the Philippine economy, where right now a lot of them are sitting idle in the background, unable to participate because they have no work, they have no prospects for employment. But what they do have is they're innovative thinkers. They'll always come up with a way. They'll always figure out a way to do something. We need to support those people that come up with the ideas, the people that are the boat builders, the furniture makers. Right now we have trades. in the Philippines, and trades are disappearing in the U.S.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the men are uh, gravitating to is the trades, whether it be construction type work, uh, ships, working on ships. There's a lot of Filipinos that serve on ships. Uh, so I think that's the men seem to be going that route, where the women are going to the college route to get the education for nursing, teachers, uh, doctors, lawyers. I mean, the guys will go for doctors and lawyers too, the ones that go to college. But I think a large percentage are saying, "Hey, I can go get a job as a trade journeyman, or and learn the job on the job and
Excellent
get
point.
paid
Excellent point.
instead of having to go to college
Yeah,
and pay."
yeah. My advice to my grandchildren is this. You know, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up. Do not go out and spend an exorbitant amount of money, especially in some private school, getting a 4-year degree if you live in the States, right? The best thing that you can do for your kid is allow them to go to get the free education, the first 2 years of college for free, like it is in California now. Pay for their books, make sure they have lunch money. And once you're done with that 2 years, they can go to work at that $15 per hour, start earning the money that they need in order to continue on with their education if they so desire. Another avenue of approach that I highly recommend is send your kids to the Philippines to be educated here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're going to send them
Yeah,
to college,
definitely. And then you're going to be able to give them an excellent education, and it's only going to cost you a fraction of the cost. You can be paying apartment rent, food rent, all this stuff,
yeah,
and it won't
travel
even.
expenses.
Yes, you could cover just about everything, and it won't even cost you anything near what it will cost you to be educated in the United States. And
Look,
the rich and famous do this.
I'm-
And I commend you, Tobias, for doing this. That's our obligation to humanity. That's our obligation in my mind's eye. Is that we have to offer up to the less fortunate any way that we possibly can.
And Dan, if you send them to college in the Philippines, it gives you a place to take your vacation.
Oh, there you go. It gives you a place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where are you going? The Philippines to visit my kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. So, isn't it more easy to help them to convict someone? Well, yeah. We've got a whole bunch of social problems like that. Yeah. No. What I'm feeling about your channel is I have no problems with your channel, except you have a couple of loudmouths there. That's about it. That's why I don't go there anymore. I imagine that's why people don't come here anymore. Is for the same reason.
Nitban says, "Don't you think the Philippines needs more high skill laborers, STEM, to grow their economy?" That's what I'm saying. I mean, you
Yeah.
take the guys, if they go into construction with all the infrastructure that's going to be coming into improvement here in the future, that's going to be a growing industry. And
Right.
you learn that job not at college. You learn that job on the job. You may take classes.
Well,
You know,
Larry, would you agree that most of the jobs that are out there right now are that a lot of the jobs are service oriented jobs that you can train somebody in a few months how to do,
oh yeah,
and they're not paying very much money.
Well-
You probably have to work two. I mean, you have a nice setup. I mean, you were talking that you work 4 days a week, 12-hour shifts.
2 12s
It
and
works
2
for
8s.
you. That would keep me employed. It would keep me employed for a whole bunch of different reasons, right? One, I get 3 days off every week,
I'm
so
gonna
I
tell you-
I
Go
yeah I
ahead.
get the balance. I get the balance that I'm looking for.
Well, personally, once I get these bills paid off, if I could find it, I'd rather work 3 12s and have 4 days off. Because I would only lose a little bit of money, but I'd probably make that up by not driving the
Yeah.
other day. But maybe I would still lose a little money. But you figure, well, I'm not driving into work one day, so there's the gas savings. I'm not buying or spending money on the vending machines. Either get something to eat because I usually buy my lunch, so I'm saving that money. So, like I said, I might lose a little bit, but I get an extra day off. I would gladly work 312s.
No,
Gladly
it's
do it.
sweet. Cha Ram is here in the house. No, it's
Yeah.
a sweet, sweet deal.
I know people that did that, but I don't know anybody that works here that can do that. I don't know a lot. Once I get my bills paid off, I might check into it. But as long as I got the 4 days, I may not do that. I may just stay with that because I'm happy with that right now. I like that. Like you said, I like that extra day off. I really do enjoy it.
The Philippines is a popular destination for medical students from many Asian countries, but not so much in sciences and engineering. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, they've got one hell of a. They got the thing down here. A lot of people want to come here for nursing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're about ready to wrap it up. So I realize I lost a few people along the way. Ed wasn't the only one. But anyway, that's all good. And I think that I think in the future we're going to limit. We are going to do some rule changes. When I look at my numbers, my numbers on YouTube, they're doing fantastic. The videos and the shorts
The
are
shorts,
doing
especially.
fantastic. The live streams are almost like a necessary evil, in order to get everything so it's glued together. They're almost like a necessary evil. I don't look at it 100% that way, but I mean, I definitely have to do, so I don't want to give up doing the live streams. I just have to do something in order to get more organization to it, in order to get it so that everybody is not talking over each other. But I'm not going to choose subjects that I'm not going to choose subjects that don't make people comfortable. What fun would that be, knowing me? In other words, I'm more apt to choose subjects that make people think and make them feel a tiny bit challenged and uncomfortable. And so that's just who I am. And so if you have a problem with that part of it, then go someplace else. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm not ashamed of what I give back to the Philippines at all. Why should I be? I've helped so many people out. Why should I be ashamed of that? Why should I hide in a corner someplace? You don't like my opinion, just say, hey, Dan, I disagree with you. Tell me the reason why.
Yeah. Well, like I said, though, I mean, especially on the money part, it's your money.
Yeah.
It's like my money. I mean, I decided how to handle my bills. I looked at it. This is the easiest way for me to handle it without putting because like I said, I can either nail the other bill or I can back off on the other. I could do that on both. I mean, the minimum payment on the one that with no interest is going to be very low.
Well, I figured
it out. If I pay $300 a month, it's paid off in 20 months.
Yeah, you're not doing anything that we all haven't done at some point in time.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
I mean, I've done it before. I've done it before.
Yeah.
The thing is that, and I know you are. I know you're disciplined enough to be able to handle this, but that was my major. The major focus is that you had to be. In my case, I had to be disciplined enough to make the whole program work. Tim is saying live stream is important to keep watch hours up. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is you have to have the whole thing in order to you have to have the whole package in order to keep the whole machine going. It's so easy to lose subscribers almost in an instant by just cutting one or two of your live streams out, or not putting up videos when you're supposed to be posting, and everybody all of a sudden they just disappear. No one knows where they go. They just disappear and you never see them again.
Yeah, that's true. I don't put up the shorts enough.
Yeah, well, what the shorts do is the team that I'm working with, the folks that are supporters in this channel convince me that not by saying, Dan, you should be doing this, but they just gave me the facts. They said, once you start posting shorts, your subscriberships are going to go skyrocket. They just start growing and growing and growing.
And your
And that is,
numbers go up.
yeah, that's exactly what happened. What ended up happening is I started getting 5, 6, 8, 10 subscribers, 10 new subscribers for every short video that I started to post. I mean, look at my subscribers. What it's up to, 2,700, 27. You know, I'm on my way to 2,800, something like that. And what, just a month or 2 months ago, I was sitting at what, 12 or 13 or 1,400 subscribers. Take care, Tobias. Thanks for coming here. Yeah, you can't please everyone. You can't please everyone. Some people, Crystals, they need their own show to get up there and let it out. I encourage you to let it out. Tell people what your likes are, what your dislikes are, and that whole thing. You know, even tell people why you dislike them if you want, if you could tolerate it. You know, if you could tolerate the criticism. It just so happens that I don't see it. I don't hear it. I've been criticized. I get the haters coming in. The most I say about it is, you know, hey, don't hate, celebrate, you know?
And I just looked at your numbers. You're at 2,730 something.
Yeah, see, so the numbers are growing. The numbers are growing by, I mean, so fast. I don't even know how it's happening. So somebody is listening. Somebody is watching. And I just have to find that balance. I know I'm struggling. I'm struggling with finding what floats people's boat. I'm struggling with what interests people. How do I increase? You know, I'll tell you what, I have almost 80% Filipino viewers, and the rest of them are scattered, with only 6% of my viewers coming from the USA. But I got to tell you, so you would think that my inclination would be to figure out how to boost, you know, viewers in the USA, but it is not. My instinct tells me to continue doing whatever I need to do in order to increase Filipino viewership. That's what my instinct is telling me. I got people screaming in my ear saying, you need to do this, Dan, to increase US viewership. I said, you know, because that's where the money is. Okay, when money doesn't come into play, you get Dan doing whatever it is that he wants to do, which is another good thing.
You know, I was going to say, I'm the reverse from you. I'm the reverse from you. I have mostly North American, and most of mine are male.
Yeah. So what's your age range? Do you know what your age range is?
Hang on, I can pull it up. Just
Because I'll tell you where you're looking it up. What mine is, it'll blow you away. Mine is female to age 34. And now I'm starting to grow. I started to notice that I have Japan coming on board, and the folks from down under coming on board, and I've got viewership in the UK starting to rise. And so, I mean, I see something happening here, but the USA, dead as a doornail. And I hope it's not because you think I'm hating on America. You know, I'm not. All I'm trying to do is present to you places to look. You make your own decision about what you may see happening in the United States. I did not abandon the United States. I didn't leave them and saying I'm never going back there. I know plenty of YouTubers that was their motivation. You know, they said, I'm never going back there again. There are plenty of them online. That is not me. That's not me. How could I possibly say things like that when they gave me the best working years of my life? You know, when my pensions come from there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and then you want me to say that, I don't, you know, I left America for, you know, you're a traitor and blah, 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 whatever. Nobody has said that, by the way, to me. Nobody has said, but it shows up what they're thinking in my viewership numbers. So, well, why do I have such high viewership in the Philippines?
Well, you actually deal more with the Philippines, if you ask me.
Yeah, you know, I
Most of your
mean,
content is about the Philippines or in the Philippines, whereas mine's mostly in the U.S. I just looked up my analytics, and almost 54% of my viewers are between the age of 18 and 44.
an excellent demographic.
And my now on the gender, 76.2% is male, and geographic, 82.5% is in the United States, and only 5.6 is in the Philippines.
Tobias said, boost it up. Instead of 100 pesos, give 500 pesos every live. That will do it. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that at all.
I
Hang
can't
on.
do it
Can you
because I
guys
don't have Gcash.
can stand by for a second? I'll be right back. I'll make a CR run.
All right, I'll be right here and I'll answer questions. All right. Now, why Mike? Listen to me. I don't mean to insult Dan or Mike, either one. But while Dan's stepped away, if you have any questions geared towards me, go ahead and ask them, and I'll answer them the best I can. And like I said, I just read off my analytics. I was surprised how good the demographics for the age range was. That 54% was between 18 and 44. That surprised me. The fact that it was a large number of males, that didn't surprise me at all. And the fact that it's mostly U.S. didn't surprise me. Those were things I could tell mostly by the comments. Uh, so, yes, you're right, Ben. My First Amendment says you have the right to say it sucks. And that's anybody. I mean, uh, I happen to like the Second Amendment. I don't own a gun. I've only owned one gun my entire life. I got rid of it before I was even 21. But I like the idea that I can have a gun. Uh, but I do think there should be some restrictions. I don't think you should be a convicted felon, especially a violent felon. I don't think if you're a convicted violent felon, you should never be able to legally own a gun. I think you should have to register your firearm. I do believe in that. Some people don't. I do believe in a cooling off period because some people go out and they're mad they want to buy a gun, and then they go out and commit crimes. They go out and shoot somebody. That's what I call a cooling off period. That also gives them the chance to do the background check on you to make sure you're not mentally unstable or you're not, a danger to someone. So I do believe in those things. But I do believe that I should have the right to own a gun. I should be able to go hunting if I want. I don't. Like I said, I haven't gone hunting since I was 18 years old, and I'm 69. I'll be 70 this year. So I haven't owned a gun since I was probably about 20. Uh, I used to go target shooting. That's all I really ever did. I only went hunting a couple times. That was it. I did mostly target shooting. I never owned a pistol. I used them in the service. I had to target shoot with them. But I also think that for gun safety should be taught. Now, when my dad was in school and my grandfather, they taught gun safety in school. And kids would take their guns to school. You can't do that today because of the fact of how people are. You can't trust them to behave themselves. But you can, before they get a license or buy a gun, you can require that they have to take the training. I think that would be a good thing. Uh,
I'm laughing my ass off. Oh, my hat. Oh, dang. I was disrobed.
Yeah.
Ben kills me.
Yeah. Well, like you said,
Ben Barry kills
our
me.
First Amendment gives you the right of freedom of speech. And I agree with him. We should. I may not agree with somebody, but they have the right to say what they want. They have the right to be wrong. or in their case, they may think I have the right if they're believe in free speech. I have the right to be wrong. You're allowed to think what you want to think in this country, as long as it does not harm someone else. And I don't mean, oh, he's upset because I don't believe what he believes. I mean, I'm not physically harming him or threatening him with harm. I mean, if you're sensitive and don't like what I said, that's your problem. Get over it. But now, if I threaten to hurt somebody or actually physically hurt somebody, that's different. That's against the law. I'm not allowed to do that, and I should not be allowed to do that. But yeah, like I said, I'm all for the First Amendment. I'm all for the Second Amendment. Like I said, I know there's a lot of people against it, but that's their problem. It's not my fault they're wrong. Like I said, I haven't owned a gun since I was about 20 years old, but I still think I should be able to own one. I'm a
Hey, I hope I
law-abiding
haven't.
citizen.
You know what? I was just thinking while I was doing my business, I was thinking that, perhaps I haven't done a great job articulating, who I am, but what kind of a person I am and things like that. But I will say this, YouTube and platforms like them are so important to the Philippines because it opened a door, for an opportunity. There's a door there that you can walk through that allows you to talk about topics from, with people from all over the world, monetize your channel so that you can make a monthly income where the monthly income didn't exist prior to you getting your YouTube channel. It allows me the opportunity to be able to share my blessings with you guys. And I feel very, very lucky to be able to do that. And so in a way, YouTube has taken a lot of criticism in the past, but in a way, it's a very welcomed platform, in my mind's eye.
Oh yeah.
Because of those reasons that I just presented. I mean, and so I didn't want anybody to think, certainly, that in stuff that I've said in the past, that I didn't think the platform was a useful platform. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that.
I'm going to address Ben here for a moment. He says, of course, the well-regulated militia part always gets left out when the Second Amendment is quoted. Ben, just to let you know, back in the 1700s, regulated did not mean controlled. It meant trained. So that's what regulated meant back then. The word has changed. It's just like if you look up the word broad in the 1600 English dictionary, back when William Shakespeare was writing, the word broad meant a good-looking woman. Now so you were giving her a compliment if you called her a broad. You call a woman a broad today, you're insulting her.
Right.
The word cute originally meant bow-legged. Now it means nice looking. Words change over time. And like I said, when that was written back in the 1700s, regulated did not mean the government controlled it. It just meant the people that are using the guns should be well trained. That's all that meant. And that's what I said. People should have training. I'm all for people being trained on the safety and proper use of a gun. They should be trained. Some places require 40 hours of training before you can get a license to carry one. Some places don't. So that's what I meant by training. Well-regulated did not mean the government could come in and say who could, we're not going to let you have any guns. No, that's not what regulated meant when it was written. And so, like I said, you got to look at the context and the time frame of what the words mean.
Oh, Sammy, if you're in the background, I just want to say that I appreciate your candor in your message that you sent me in Messenger. Thank you so much. Me too had a gun then borrowed from a cousin for protection. Whoa! I didn't know that.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you, I think women should have guns more than men. Because, a woman, let's be honest, women are the victims of physical harm more than men are. I think. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm just going by the way I think. This is my opinion. Uh, I remember when the cell phones first came out, I was against cell phones. I was more for a woman. I was more for CBs. So you'd get on the CB, call for help. And back in Indiana, the girl was in college in Illinois, uh, and if this happened in my neck of the woods, right outside of Terre Haute. I mean, it did, right outside of my hometown, on one of the main highways. She was going back to college. She had a CB. She got on the CB and asked for help because her car broke down. Somebody called the police for her. Before the police got there, somebody else stopped, raped and murdered her, and killed her because they heard that same call and they were close by. They went there, kidnapped her, raped and murdered her.
Horrible.
And that's when I became convinced that women at least should have cell phones. And that really made me change my opinion on cell phones. Now, this was back in the 80s. I want to say late 80s.
I don't know, Nitban. Pepper spray, I don't know.
Pepper spray helps, but you got to get it in their eyes if they're wearing protective glasses and stuff. Like with my glasses, you may not get enough of my eyes to stop me. Same thing with
you know
Dan.
what? Yeah.
So I'm saying pepper
Larry?
spray, it's not going to go through the glass.
Yeah, and we know what will. A bullet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm all for a woman having a gun for self-protection.
Oi. All right. Let's pick a winner chicken dinner for today's live stream. What do you think, Larry? Who should it be?
Let's see. I picked Gurley yesterday. And I'm going to pick somebody, Sek Bucci. I don't think he's ever won.
I think Sek Bucci won a couple of days ago too.
Okay, well then let's
I
go.
think I picked her.
Okay, then let's go with.
It's getting hard to do this, huh? It's getting hard to do this.
Like I said, when how long has it been since Jalen won?
Since who?
Jalen or Jalen? Jeal?
Oh, Jalen, a perfect
Jalen.
choice.
How long has
Jalen.
it been since Jalen won?
I don't know, but okay, Jalen's the winner.
Jalen, well, congratulations.
But hey, I tell you what, we'll change this up in the future. What we'll do is I hate doing paperwork, Maybe I can convince somebody to set up the Wheel of Fortune, and then we can have the Wheel of Fortune set up every live stream, and then they could spin the wheel and do it randomly. And we'll just let the randomness of it take care of the selection process.
Sounds
But
good.
that's if I could find somebody like Pacquiao Merch or somebody that's willing to set up the wheel for every live stream.
Hey,
It
Daz.
probably wouldn't be that difficult, because what do we get? Sometimes we'll get a maximum of 20 people in here or something.
And it's going to be limited to the ones in the Philippines.
Well, I'm not sure because you guys can always donate it.
I don't want to be a winner. I would rather have somebody that, in the Philippines use it because it'll help them a lot more than it would help me.
Right. And then the other thing would be to change the format of the channel so that it runs a little bit smoothly. And so I have some ideas, but I think I want to run them by you, Larry, to get your opinion on if you think it's a good idea or not. So,
Okay.
but I'll message you privately about what my ideas are to see if it sounds like a good one. I value your opinion on it to see if we can make the whole thing run a little bit smoother and accomplish the things that I would like to accomplish. And so things are a little bit different, you guys, in this channel. One reason is because I'm not chasing. I don't think Larry is either. Larry's not chasing the money that YouTube has to provide. More. I don't want to speak for Larry, but I could tell you for myself. I'm just looking at using the platform so I can get some enjoyment out of sharing some of my ideas, and so that we could have some kind of an exchange of ideas. So it isn't to push my ideology on you for sure. It's more about an open sharing of ideas. And I think what tends to ruin it is people being a little bit too either ethnocentric or egocentric, where they're so set in their ways that they cannot explore. They can't conduct a reasonable exploration of the ideas. In other words, they're just dismissive, saying that their way is the only way. And I think that I think I have a little bit of more of an open mind than that. I mean, my mind has been oftentimes it's been changed on issues. I always consider what everybody has to say, and a few of you in this chat have been very, very successful in changing my viewpoints about certain things. So, I mean, that being said, I appreciate everybody who's been in this live. And Larry, if you wouldn't mind taking us out of it, that would be great.
All right, everyone. Remember, be nice to each other. Remember to show up for, here in the States, Tuesday night. In the Philippines, Wednesday morning's live stream with Dan. And congratulations once again to our winner. And I want to tell everybody, be nice to each other, take care of yourself, stay safe, stay healthy, and to always try to have fun. Bye,
All right.
everyone. I'm going to go ahead and drop out, Dan.
All right. We'll see everybody later. Thanks for coming.
All
I
right.
really appreciate it.
All right. Bye.